Right. So today we're going to deep dive into something pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's how some conservative Hindu communities are like, trying to find a life partner in this modern age. And I think what's really interesting is that a lot of young Hindus, especially like in Britain and the Middle East,
Right.
they're kind of caught in this like in-between space
Yeah.
where they want to move away from arranged marriages.
Traditional arranged marriages.
Yeah, exactly. Like where their parents are like heavily involved.
Exactly.
And they don't have a ton of say.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're like, well, traditional dating,
Right.
that doesn't really jive with my beliefs either.
Yeah. And that's a challenge.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you
Yeah. How do you honor tradition and also make sure that you have autonomy in this huge decision?
Huge decision, right.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
That's right.
And we've got some really interesting sources. So we've been looking at this Indian Matchmaking Service, IMMS.app thing.
Yeah.
And also talking to some of the developers behind these platforms to kind of figure out, how is technology helping people kind of navigate this?
Exactly.
So
it's a fascinating new development for sure.
Yeah. So you might be thinking, okay, so, traditional matchmaking is one thing.
Yeah.
Dating apps are another thing.
Totally.
But what we're seeing is this hybrid emerging.
It's like this digital matchmaking that's kind of coming to the fore.
Exactly. Like traditional matchmaking is going digital.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, it's driven by this desire to not have a fully arranged marriage,
Right.
but also to, respect the norms.
The cultural norms,
that discourage you from like dating a ton of people before you settle down. So it's like finding that space in between.
Yes, it's a very interesting in-between space.
Yeah. So how do these apps like actually work for you, the listener? Like, it's not just swiping on pictures, right?
Yeah. So one of the really key things here is that the selection of the potential partners happens online first.
Okay.
Before any actual in-person meeting.
Gotcha.
And the idea is to kind of respect these religious boundaries.
Okay.
So like the Indian Matchmaking Service, IMMS.app, these platforms often help people connect based on these really specific criteria that are culturally significant, like family background or community ties.
Got it.
But it's all happening digitally.
Okay.
So it's like a digital first step.
Right. So it's almost like a digital layer
Exactly.
on top of what might have been a more traditional, like family-led process.
Exactly.
So what happens after that, though?
Well,
like, do people actually find partners through these apps?
It's interesting. The source material kind of highlights that it's a mixed bag, as you might expect.
Right.
Some individuals do find someone while others don't.
Sure.
And of course, finding a life partner is always complicated.
It's a journey. Yeah.
It's a journey regardless of the method.
Regardless.
Yeah. But it's interesting to note that some people within these communities aren't really thrilled about this shift to digital. They see it as kind of like straying from the traditional ways. So it's definitely causing some debate.
So it's not a universal solution.
Right.
But it is an option that wasn't there before.
Exactly. And that's why it's so significant.
Right.
Because it's almost like this whole new way of finding love.
Yeah. And why is that so significant for you, the listener?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
Before these platforms came along, some individuals might have felt like their only options were these arranged marriages.
Right.
Or dating in a way that just didn't feel right culturally.
Yeah.
But now there's this new space where they can explore potential relationships in a way that like tries to honor both their personal desires and their cultural expectations.
It's like bridging that gap.
Yeah, exactly. It's bridging the gap.
So to sum it up, like these digital platforms are providing a new avenue for some Hindus who are, trying to figure out how to find a life partner.
Yeah.
And it's this space where you can, potentially avoid those fully arranged marriages.
Yes.
And the more westernized dating practices.
Right.
But still, like, you're aiming to respect those important cultural and religious norms. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this whole thing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it kind of raises this question for you, like what other traditions might see this kind of digital shift in the future? Like what happens when long-held traditions meet new technologies?
Yeah, what are the benefits and the challenges?
Exactly, because this could be happening in all sorts of cultural practices.
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we're going to wrap things up for today's deep dive.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.